Hello everyone, welcome back to Lab4crypto. Today I'm going to speak about the latest article that I wrote, which is basically when altcoin season, understanding Bitcoin current state. The reason that this article is very important is because I think it will help you understand more when the altcoin season is going to come, why this time is a bit different from perspective of time. And what I mean by that is that the altcoin season is delayed compared to the previous cycle. But I'm going to tell you my thoughts if it's going to happen, and if it's going to happen, what conditions are needed to make it happen. And of course, explain the importance of understanding these two differentiations about the Bitcoin season and altcoin season, because in the end is, I think, one of the simplest thing to understand, but because our emotions are in the way, we usually panic and we are doing things that we don't want to do, usually to damage our portfolio, or also keep doing the same mistake again and again and not fixing our portfolio to be able to withstand this volatility that is expected as we move to the quantitative easing era. So now let's first understand what altcoin season is for people that they don't know. An easy way to see it is the altcoin season index, and I will show you also the from perspective of dominance of Bitcoin compared to altcoins. And the reason that we are using Bitcoin is because Bitcoin is the oldest and the most, let's say, safest cryptocurrencies that we have. And now that is become institutional, and also with ETFs, it managed to withstand the biggest drop from price-wise, money-wise, let's say, in the crypto industry, with basically just losing 5 or 6% of its value, which that was, I think it's an inflection point of Bitcoin becoming more mainstream asset. But anyway, let's go to the details and understand the importance of us be able to position ourselves correctly for the altcoin season, because altcoins are very punishing, because altcoins is the riskiest, let's say, asset that you can have from the spectrum of the risky assets, and therefore it can have big returns but also big losses. Therefore, it's crucial for you to understand when you need to step your toes on it and stop believing anything that someone says. Just check the data. And actually, the data are very clear. It's just our emotions that are getting into the way. So, this is the altcoin season index. And let's go to the last altcoin season that we had, which basically lasted only 6 days, which was from 2nd of December 2024, and it ended on December 9th. So it was just 7 days. What that means? It means that the top 50 crypto assets are outperforming Bitcoin in this brief period of time. So in short, if you were holding altcoins in that period, your portfolio was going to do better than just holding Bitcoin. But this was a fake out. And that is why you will see also, if you go to my previous videos, that I said it's better for us to see the altcoin season index stay there for a couple of weeks before we are increase our risk tolerance. And this is what happened to the previous cycles. If you check, let's go to the previous cycle. So for the 2021, which was the latest one, you will see that it started on March 25th and it ended on June 21st. So that was the altcoin season index. So that means that altcoins were outperforming Bitcoin for a significant period of time. And if we go and check the dominance at that time of Bitcoin, what you will see was this period. So you will see Bitcoin have a 63, let's go a bit further as well, so it will be easier for us to see. So Bitcoin dominance was at 70%. And then when the altcoin season started, Bitcoin started to lose its dominance and it went all the way down to 37%. What is Bitcoin dominance? Basically, if we take the total crypto market cap, we want to check what percentage of the crypto market it's just Bitcoin. So if the total crypto market was 1 trillion, the 700 billion, let's say here, was Bitcoin only. So only the 30% of the total crypto market cap was altcoins. So one cryptocurrency, which is BTC, was the 70%, and the other 30% were altcoins. Therefore, for us, the difference of this cycle compared to the other one is that it took more time for altcoins to collapse compared to 2021 and 2017. You will see that if we go to the previous cycles, let's see. Here, it was from January 2019 all the way down to, so it was 8 months, let's say, and actually it managed to bottom in the halving year. But this time, the crash happened in the post-halving year. So the recent drop, when we saw Bitcoin going to higher dominance, happened in the 1st of February, as many of you know. So the crash happened on altcoins in 2025, which was the post-halving year, which 2024 in April was the halving year of Bitcoin. The main point, though, is that in the end, it doesn't matter when that happens, because in my books, at least, and how I am navigating the market, and you will see also in our Telegram that 2 days before the crash, I have published my portfolio allocation, and you will see that basically BTC and Sol had, BTC was 75%, something like that, and a big chunk also was Sol, and only I had around 5 to 10% in altcoins, because I wanted to get a confirmation about the altcoin season and then move forward. So let's go and understand when the altcoin season is going to happen. The altcoin season, on how I see it, and when I'm starting to think to rotate capital from BTC to altcoins, because I want to increase my risk tolerance, and when I want to put new capital to altcoins, is when one of these three conditions occur and I'm starting to see strength in altcoins. So it's the end of the quantitative tightening and lower interest rates, the approval of a Bitcoin strategic reserve by a country, and especially US, and also Bitcoin sustaining prices above 110 and 115K, because I know that retailers are going to say that Bitcoin is too expensive. They're going to start FOMOing to altcoins. And therefore, I expect altcoins to start to outperform BTC for a brief period of time. But let's check the first point more closely. This is the graph of Ethereum price performance on the weekly time frame. What you will see, and I have overlaid the Federal Reserve balance sheet, which basically, when we see this line, a yellow line going up, it means that we are in a quantitative easing era. So that means the Federal Reserve is injecting capital into the market. And when we are seeing this yellow line going down. That means that we are in a quantitative tightening, which means the Federal Reserve is trying to tight the economy, and therefore that is going to spill over, especially on risky assets, because people want to de-risk themselves when you see this yellow line going down, because it's going to be fewer capital rotate around in the economy. And I'm just using the Federal Reserve, but you can use the global liquidity as well. The point is that the actual altcoin season happened when the Fed started the quantitative easing, basically when they stopped the quantitative tightening. You will see, and it's clear when we are starting to see this line going up, and here is just the week of the COVID pandemic, which recovered in a week. But the point is that we have the sustained run for Ethereum. It went from, let's say, $83, $100 all the way up to 4K during this period. You'll see this period didn't last long. That's why if you go also to the altcoin season index, you will see that altcoins basically the altcoin season lasts around 3 to 5 months. And here you will be able to see that as well. If you go a bit back, just zoom in this period. And as we saw in the last cycle, it lasted from March to the end of June. Therefore, that is why it's important to see this yellow line start to going up, or at least go a bit flat for a bit, which means that the Fed have stopped the quantitative tightening. And the reason is simple, actually. First, you need to think who is going to accumulate altcoins. And it's not going to be institutions. It's going to be retailers. Retailers, that means it's me and you and people in the crypto industry. And for us to be able to accumulate altcoins sustainably, we need capital. To have capital, you need the central banks around the world to inject capital into the economy. And how that can happen, it's various ways, but let's say an example. If interests are going to continue to go down, that means your mortgage is going to be, the mortgage payment that you have to do per month is going to be reduced. Therefore, you're going to have an excess capital that you can allocate in some place. It doesn't have to be crypto, it can be stocks, it can be real estate, whatever. The point is that you are going to have capital to allocate somewhere. Therefore, you need to think when this occurs and we are going to have the Fed, because it's going to happen, is not point that if the Fed are going to stop the quantitative tightening, is when. So let's say that is going to happen in March, for example, or April. That means the injection of liquidity in the market is going to start. And we are going to have this brief period of 3 to 5 months where risky assets are doing very well, and of course then are going to crash. And that is why you need to play this 3 to 5 months period very well. And for me, there is no reason for me to rush and starting to accumulate tons of altcoins, because I don't know when the Fed are going to stop the quantitative tightening. So I prefer, if I have capital, to just save it and have it ready to deploy when that happens, or just allocate on BTC. Of course, this is not financial advice. This is what I'm doing, because I know that there's not going to be an altcoin season if Bitcoin does not go up first. So in the end, you're putting yourself in excessive risk trying to think which altcoin is going to perform well from the millions that exist now. You're diluting yourself. You're putting yourself in excessive risk without knowing what's going to happen. And I can guarantee you that no one knows what's going to happen in the short term. Your goal as someone that wants to allocate capital in the industry is to understand the trend. And for me, the trend is that Bitcoin is going to go to prices above 180K by the end of November. This is what I believe. Of course, again, this is not financial advice, but this is how I am planning my portfolio. And when this period comes, then of course I'm going to rotate capital from BTC to altcoins and also just cash. But I want to see a confirmation. There is no point for me to go into Twitter, just seeing that okay, this chain just launched. For example, is Bear chain. This is the RWA coin. This is the AI agents. And basically, what we are doing, we are chasing things when there is no actual liquidity to sustain high prices. So I don't understand why people want to go all in on alts and just do not wait for the confirmation. Yeah, this is my point of view, of course. And I know that a lot of people say, but the train is lost on Bitcoin. But it's not lost. Bitcoin just did 6x from the bottom, 5x whatsoever. The point is that you can grab this 5x and then just rotate the capital when the time comes to the altcoin season. There is no reason to put yourself in excessive risk. I know that your bucks are down because probably you allocate some capital when the top of the altcoin season happened, which was in December when I showed you before. But instead of just trying to reduce your average blindly, sometimes you need to think that what if my altcoin that I choose that I think is going to do well is not going to do well when the altcoin season comes? Because do not forget, if you have 10 million coins, not all of them are going to perform very well. So just pick your winners, do your research. If you have a position, check it now. See if you are comfortable with what you are seeing. Sometimes it's wise to cut some losses. But on the other hand, if you believe on the projects, you just need to wait. Because in the end, I don't believe that we are not going to have an altcoin season. I think we are going to have an altcoin season. And actually that happens when everybody are starting to think that this is the end and we are not going to have an altcoin season. Because when you see a lot of people anticipate something, usually it's not going to happen. That is why, for me, for example, when you have the greatest crash in the crypto industry and you don't get a big hit, or at least you are still profitable on your portfolio, that means that you are doing a good job. I know that you have losses on altcoins, but in the end, this is the investing, let's say, industry. You allocating a small percentage on risky assets, which they have the potential to give you higher returns, but of course, this amount can be lost. Therefore, you need to just zoom out, have a check on your portfolio. If you have 50, 60, 40, whatever altcoins, try to reduce them because there is no chance for you to be able to monitor these projects. And wait when you see this yellow line going up. That for me, it's a good indication that we are going to see a better days for altcoins. But let's have a look on the article. Of course, I will have a link in the description below and you can read it on your own time. It's free. My point is that in the end, if I know that Bitcoin needs to go higher to have an altcoin season, and this is what I believe, of course, I need to see in which state BTC is now. So it's in a position that it can go higher. Because if it's not, there is no hope for the altcoins. Now, let's have a look on some metrics that I have here. Of course, you can click on them and it will take you to the graph and you will be able to zoom and check the details and also see the description and also video explanation on what you are seeing. So let's have a look on the article. So what is the Bitcoin risk now? The Bitcoin risk now is below 50%. So now we are below, let's say in the medium region, not in the high risk region, but of course not in the absolute low. So therefore, for me, there is a chance for BTC to go to higher prices, especially as we embark to the quantitative easing era. Next is the short-term bubble risk. When we see Bitcoin usually go to this green line, and when we are in a bull run, not in a bear market, that is a good sign, because that means that BTC seems to be an attractive allocation because it's expected to go to higher values. But of course, you need, as I said, always to do your research, and that is why we have detailed explanations so you will know what you are seeing. So now we are approaching this green line, which it's good news. Moving forward, again, for me, it was really surprising to see Bitcoin holding its lower Bollinger Band when we had the biggest crash in the books of the crypto market. That was an amazing, and that for me established BTC to be basically an institutional asset when usually retail is panicking. You know that institutions, because they have a time frame which is more than 5 to 6 months, and they checking the long term. That is why I think BTC hold that well. And you will see, basically, this is the graph of the holdings of BlackRock on the ETF and all the others. And basically what you are seeing is just a line that it keeps going up, just up into the right. Therefore, having ETF and also companies now putting BTC on their balance sheet, that managed to basically safeguard your portfolio when the damage happened, because actually you will be surprised to see, if you're going to check your portfolio and see the damage that you had from altcoins and what assets basically protected your downside. And for me was BTC and Sol, which performed very, very well. Moving next to the article, you will see the price power law deviation. What this graph is telling us is basically checking how far is the blue line from the red line. And usually we have, because Bitcoin has, and that actually what I'm going to tell you now is science and it's not just lines. I did a lot of testing as well, but also a lot of analysts in the industry. And what we found out is that Bitcoin is following a power law, and it's only deviating from its power law when we enter these bubble phases, which it enters this exponential phase on the upwards and then an exponential phase to the downwards. So when that happens, basically, is the bull runs and the bear markets. Therefore, when you check the deviation of the blue line from the red line, you get this graph. And what you will see is that when we have a deviation, so when this red line is above 70%, this is a good time for you to start preparing your exit strategy, starting to see that we are enter a period which it's wise to start exiting the market. Currently, we are at 8.9. So we are really close to the power law of Bitcoin, which these are really good news. And of course, when we have also the risk of Bitcoin at 42%, that means there is no any, let's say, obstacle for BTC to not go higher even tomorrow or in a month or in a two. It just, we need this liquidity to come and push us to higher valuations. Moving forward, this is the free float market value to realized value, the FFMVRV. This model is an on-chain model which checks the prices of Bitcoin when it's moved. You can see the equation here. And it subtracts the coins which have not moved for 5 years because maybe they are lost and therefore there is no economic value from them. And what we can see is that usually when we go above 2 is a point, this is 2.2, 3, and of course there is diminishing returns, and you can see that here. But usually we need to go to values above 2 to start thinking that we are in an overheated period. I think this is one of the favorite models of the CEO of Messari. But in the end, my point is that we are at values which, again, there is no reason for me to think that Bitcoin is going to go to lower values significantly. Of course, there is always volatility and we are prone to news, because do not forget that the crypto market is small. The whole crypto market is just one company in the Nasdaq, for example, Microsoft or Apple. So therefore, it's important for you to understand how big we are as an industry. And spoiler alert, we are not big. Therefore, that is why you see this significant volatility. Now, let's go to the article again where I have it. Here, sorry. Also, if we check the accounts that hold more than 100 BTC, what you will see from September until today, basically this line is going up. And that, again, it's good news because, as I said, Bitcoin is becoming an institutional asset, and therefore it is not that prone to volatile moves to the downside as well. And when you see people which hold this significant amount of BTC keep accumulating, that is good news, of course, for the total crypto market as a whole, because always this capital that is injected to BTC is going to be spillover to altcoins as well in the end. And to close, of course, I already said that I still believe firmly that BTC can go above these values. And by just checking the 2 standard deviation line, which usually we go above it, even in the worst case, we just hold it and only touch this green line in November, let's say, this value is at 196, which and just to understand what I'm saying is that you'll see in the bubble phases, Bitcoin is moving above the green line, which is the 2 standard deviation. But even if we go a bit further, you will see that we are coming closer and closer to the green line each cycle because we have these diminishing returns. So even if I assume that we are not going to go above it this time and we are only going to touch it, that means we are, let's say, I'm just picking a random day for topic, can be November 13th, December, whatsoever, but just gives you an indication where Bitcoin can go. And you will see the values is 197. Even if that happens in September, it's going to be 189 and so on. You get my point. So to close up, I wanted to say that this time actually is not different for altcoins. What I mean, I expect them to go up, and definitely the liquidity is a crucial part for that. Yes, it took a bit longer, but in the end, to go to full risk mode on and have this 3 to 5 months period where risky assets are doing really, really well, these 5, 6, 10x's that you see, and even more, you need to have the conditions of global liquidity to allow it and be able to enter this 3 to 5 months period. We need also retailers to come into the market more sustainably. So, because in the end, this 3 to 5 months period is the bubble zone where you'll see your friends and family starting to call you about crypto because they know that you are into the industry, and they usually come at the end of the bull cycle, at the end of the bull run. And you will see also from YouTube views, from subscribers, that we didn't have people come into the market. Even just an easy thing that you can do home is just Google Trends. If you go to Google Trends, you will see that, just a moment. Yeah, let's go to the platform. So we need people to come sustainably into the market. So you will see we are hovering between the 66 and 78, 80% interest in the crypto market for months, not just so from January to May, but recently we only had one in December, in November, December, basically only, it lasted only a month basically to start having a drop. Therefore, if not retail comes into the market, of course, altcoins are not going to perform well, but I think they're going to come because of a simple reason. There is going to be more access to capital when the quantitative easing starts, when mortgages are going to go down and people are going to have an excess capital to allocate. And if you believe that some of that capital is going to end up in the crypto market, altcoins are going to go up because altcoins are even smaller as a market cap, and therefore they don't need huge amounts of capital to move to higher valuations compared to the stock market, for example. So yes, I believe that the altcoin season is going to come. For me, it's not if, it's when. And of course, because we have millions of coins now, it's prudent for you to pick your winners and do not dilute yourself and go to every coin that you heard someone in the coffee shop acquiring, because in the end, you're damaging your portfolio and the altcoin industry as well, because in the end, we want to push innovation. And altcoins, what they want to do, it's an improvement to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is solidified itself as a store of value, as a very secure blockchain. But altcoins, what they're trying to do, they're trying to build applications, for example, like DeFi, which for me it's an amazing application, but we need something to step even further than that. And this is what all these altcoins are trying to do. And basically, for us, we speculate that which application, which blockchain is going to manage to do it. And that is why we are increasing our risk tolerance and go and try to allocate some of our capital to that chain, which we believe is going to do something. Either it's going to be AI or something else, but we are putting ourselves in risk because they have not delivered anything yet, is with the expectation that they are going to do it. So have that in mind, protect your portfolio and have a plan. I told you some ideas in these videos. And of course, if you want to ask more questions on what I'm doing and want to understand more also the graphs that we have in the platform, just go to our website, make an account, and you will have access to our team as well, which you will see what we are doing with our portfolio as well, and how we manage to protect ourselves a lot in this dump that we have recently. But the main idea is that you need to know where the market is going. Do not keep looking on your portfolio if you are down and trying to rectify this by just accumulating more and more of that asset that does not perform really well, unless you have a confirmation or you're convinced that this altcoin is going to do very well because you spend a lot of hours researching this altcoin and you're just not doing it because you want to reduce your average in the expectation that it's definitely going to do well in altcoin season. I hope you liked the video. Please give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. It was a bit long video, but because people were a bit freaked out about altcoins, I wanted to show you that this time actually is not that different from previous one. It's just a little bit less, it was a bit longer for altcoins to have this drop. As I said, it was in post-halving, but in the end, I think altcoin is going to come when we have an inject of capital into the markets from central banks. Hope you liked the video. Until next time, bye-bye.